Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Neka of Nigeria Canada Girl. Thanks for tuning in again. If it's your first time, welcome. What took you so long though? And if you've always been watching, thanks for always watching, liking, sharing, commenting. I truly appreciate it. Guys, happy new year. How have you been? If you follow me on Instagram, you might have noticed that I visited Nigeria last Christmas. That's Christmas of 2021. And it was actually my first time visiting since I moved to Canada in April 2018. It was really interesting in a good way and fun. But that's not what this video is about. If you're interested in seeing what I got up to, I have like a mini vlog. It's a reel on my Instagram. You could just go there and check it out. But a lot of you expressed interest in knowing what the paperwork process is for visiting Nigeria and returning back to Canada in light of the COVID pandemic. So that's what this video will be about. I'll be telling you everything about your PCR test, what you need to do when you get to Nigeria, and the documents you need to have to be able to get back into Canada. Now, if this is something you'd be interested in, don't go anywhere. Keep watching. Yes, guys, so like I said, I'll be telling you about everything you need to travel to Nigeria from Canada and return back to Canada. Now, please bear in mind that this video is only current and is valid as at the date it was posted. And I say that because this is what currently obtains, but you know how things change really quickly in light of the pandemic. Policies change, rules change, travel bans and restrictions change. So everything I'm saying right now is current as at this period. And yeah, you just have to keep watching the news after now to see if there's any change. So yes, guys, back to the content you are here for. Now, as you all know, in light of the recent pandemic, travel hasn't been as straightforward as it used to be, and that is just to make sure that the spread of COVID is curtailed as much as possible. And this also applies to travel to Nigeria. So yes, Nigeria also has its own restrictions, things you need to have to be able to be allowed into the country. And if you plan on coming back to Canada as well, Canada also has some paperwork, some things you need to have in place to allow you to return back to Canada. Okay, now let's start from the first thing you need. Number one, you need a COVID negative PCR test. There are different sorts of COVID tests. There's the rapid antigen test, but there's a particular one called the PCR. You've most likely heard of it. This is a more detailed one. Now, for your travel to Nigeria, this is what is needed. This is what Nigeria needs to see to let you in. They need to see that you have a COVID negative test from one of the authorized institutions here in Canada. There are a couple of clinics and medical places that are authorized to take the PCR test. I'll be putting a link in my bio, but it's really not that hard to find. A lot of pharmacies, a lot of popular clinics are allowed to take this test. Even a quick Google search can show you places that could give you a valid Google search, a valid result for places you could take a PCR. I'll, however, put a link to the particular one I used just in case you are interested. Okay, so you need to have a negative PCR test. Now, not just having a negative PCR test, this needs to have been this needs to be 48 hours, at least the minimum of 48 hours from the first leg of your flight. So what this means is, if for example you are traveling to Nigeria on the, let's say on the 1st of February, it means that this test needs to be no older than this month. February has 28. It needs to be no older than the 27th of February. So 48 hours minimum. But what I usually advise, or what I did, which I think worked for me, these tests are really fast. They turn out the results in 24 hours. If your flight, for example, is 10 p.m. tomorrow, you could go get your test done 10 a.m. today, and or before 10 a.m. and you get your result 10 a.m. tomorrow, well ahead of your flight time, 10 p.m. Okay, so it's 48 hours, but to be safe, you could just do it 24 hours, or if 48 hours works for you, go ahead and do that. So this is the first thing you need to have in place. Now, the second thing you need to have in place. Now, the NCDC, that's the National Disease Control. I need to check for the full meaning of that. But NCDC is the body in charge of everything COVID in Nigeria, okay? Now, they have a website that would allow you upload your PCR test results. They would also need you to pay an amount of money, because as soon as you land Nigeria, you'll be required to do another test. So there is a test you take from Canada to show them, but upon landing Nigeria, if you're fully vaccinated, you'll be doing this test 2 days after you land. Mine fell on a Christmas Day, and I still had to do it. So it's compulsory, no exemptions. And if you're not vaccinated, I think it's 7 days after. However, we'll come back to being vaccinated or not vaccinated later in this video, okay? So you go to that website. I'll be putting the link in my description box. You'll be uploading your PCR test results. You'll be uploading your personal information like your passport number. You would also be uploading information like if you have a valid COVID vaccination receipt, you'll be uploading that as well. Information of where you'd be staying, how long you'll be staying. Just I mean, it's not a difficult to fill form. Just make sure you have sufficient internet and you have all the documents they might need, which primarily would be your vaccination proof if you are vaccinated, and also your negative PCR result. So as soon as you're done filling that form, it would prompt you to make a payment. Now, bear in mind that this payment is supposed to be about 50,400 naira. However, when the debit reaches your account, I'm not sure where that happens, how it happens, you'll be debited about 55,000 naira. So one tip for you is that you need to pay with a naira debit card. You can pay with your credit card or any other card you have. It's just that the charges are crazy. So if you do have access to a naira debit card, I would advise you pay with this, just to be able to reduce some of these ridiculous exchange rate charges. But if you don't, that's fine. You can still pay with your international MasterCard, okay? So as soon as you make this payment, you'd actually receive an email almost immediately with a QR code letting you know, hey, everything is good to go. Now that's when you would be able to print out that page if you like, you know, that QR code that shows you a confirmation of payment for your COVID test when you get to Nigeria. Okay, I know some people have said, well, the site doesn't necessarily say you must make that payment now, so you can still make it when you get to Nigeria. To be honest, you want to avoid all those issues. Just make the payment then, because only at that point will you actually be given that QR code printout page. Okay, so that's the second thing you need when going to Nigeria. Like I said earlier, upon landing Nigeria, if you are fully vaccinated, you'll be required to do a day 2 PCR test. And when you get that test done, or while you're filling the form, you'll see the list of centers you can have the test done at. I would advise that you have the test done in a center really close to you or where you'll be staying. They have a whole lot of centers across the whole Nigeria, so choose one that works for you. For example, on Christmas Day, which was the day of my test, I happened to be in Ikoyi, but I hadn't thought about it that much, so the location I chose was in Lekki Phase 1. Lucky for me, Lekki Phase 1, Ikoyi, through the link bridge was still just a really decent distance, so I could go there and get the test done. So make sure you're choosing a location that works for you on the second day of your arriving Nigeria. Now, this is really everything about what you need to arrive Nigeria. Obviously, it goes without saying you should have your travel documents, you should have your passports, you've obviously booked your tickets, so those are, I won't be touching those are things obviously you should have while traveling. I'm just touching on the documents you need in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so now go to Nigeria, have fun, do everything you need to do. And now tip, guys, you want to have some naira notes with you before you travel. I had to get some from a friend. That is because when you get to Nigeria, those payments you need to, well, not payments, but those little change you need to spend at the airport, like I had to pay to get a trolley. It's going to be a really tricky situation if you don't have any money with you. Okay, you might need to tip someone who would push the trolley for you, pay for the trolley. So just have some money with you, say 1k, no, actually maybe 2k, 3k, somewhere along those lines would be more realistic. Okay, so yes, so you go to Nigeria, do your thing, have fun, do everything you have to do. Now, the requirement for coming back to Nigeria, very similar, but there are also some differences. Now, one of the things, in fact, the major thing you need to return to Nigeria, the major documentation is a proof of being fully vaccinated. Now in Canada, Canada still considers having your 2 shots as being fully vaccinated. So you don't have to have had the booster shot yet, but you need to have had your first 2 shots to be considered fully vaccinated. As at January 15th, 2022, this became a requirement to enter Canada. Okay, so whether you're entering from Nigeria, this applies to all countries. It's not just Nigeria and some African countries. It applies to all countries. You need to be fully vaccinated to be able to enter Canada. So you need to have this document ready. I'll put a link on where you can download your vaccine passports if you still don't have this. So you need to have this intact, okay? You also need a PCR negative result, okay? Now in Nigeria, you need to be careful about where you go to do your results. You need where you go to do your PCR test. You need to go to an approved center to have your PCR test done. Okay, so I'll also be putting a link to where you can see a list of approved centers. The price is still the same, about 50,000 thereabouts. To be exact, I paid 50,500, and I also used a hospital in Lekki Phase 1. So you need this, and you need it to be a negative test to be able to come into Canada. I've heard about some people who went to some centers that weren't approved, and it wasn't accepted at the airport. Don't make this mistake. Preferably, what you can do is you can go to the exact same center where you went when you landed to have your day 2 test done. You could just go back there, at least you're certain it's legit, okay? So that's one thing you need. Now, the second thing you need is you need to download an app called ArriveCAN. So ArriveCAN is an app Canada specially created to ensure that people are traveling safely in, this COVID-19 period. So it's just an app you download. It will prompt you to fill in some information like your passport details, when you traveled, when your return date. It would also ask you to upload certain documents like your negative PCR test. It's going to ask you to upload your proof of vaccination. Just in case you arrive and you're positive, there are also some questions it will ask you about, your isolation plan, how you expect to safely quarantine and all that. So these are easy questions. Like I said, straightforward. With good internet, it shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes to fill. Okay, so this app is a requirement. In fact, at the Nigerian airports, those are the things they would ask you for. They would ask to see your negative PCR results, and they would ask to see the QR code generated by your ArriveCAN app. Now, when you're done filling all the information into your ArriveCAN app, uploading everything they want, it's going to give you a confirmation receipt that has a QR code. That would also be, you'd also need to show that to the officials at the airport here in Nigeria. I'm not in Nigeria anymore. At the officials at the airport in Nigeria to for them to allow you even proceed with checking in and all that. Okay, now this is something you need to have handy. It's going to be a lot of hassle if you don't have it yet, and then you get to the airport and you're just trying to download the app. Internet will probably be shitty. You really don't want that. So what I would advise is at least a day or two before you travel, just to make sure you don't forget, download the ArriveCAN app. You don't necessarily have to download it before you travel to Nigeria, but definitely some days before you arrive Canada. It's required for Canada, not Nigeria. Make sure you have it downloaded, all the forms uploaded, all the fields filled to be sure that you'll be allowed into Canada. So these are the requirements upon entry into Canada. Now there's one more step. Now, as at the day I landed, there was something called a random PCR test at the airport. So once upon a time, Canada would test everyone coming into Canada at the airport. But apparently right now they just randomly select. Now bear in mind, it's not really an even selection. Sometimes I feel like they select 80% or even 90%, then they just let a few 10% go. So they'll randomly select you, not like you're coming out of the plane and they're like, oh, you come. No. So you get to some point and someone would actually stick some sticker to your passport. I had a pink sticker on my passport. I didn't think much of it. I did not know what it meant. But what it actually meant was that I was supposed to go have a PCR test done there at the airport. And some people got the green sticker. You were allowed to exit the airport after picking up your bags, right? So at the airport, you might be selected for a test, a compulsory PCR test. To be honest, I feel they are quite efficient. It didn't take me more than 20 minutes. So it's just going to be this long queue with a lot of people directing you on what to do. You progress to where your information is double checked and then progress to where the actual test is taken. It's going to be a nose swab. It's a quick in and out, and then you leave the airport. So you are not being taken to any hotel to quarantine. So regardless of whether the result is positive or negative, you actually don't know. Everyone leaves the airport after the test and you go home. My result was negative, so I'm not really sure what happens if it's positive, but I would like to think that you will be called and be told how to quarantine if it is positive. So the process for me being negative was that as soon as the test was done, I went home. In about 24 hours, I got an email advising me that it was negative, right? And you don't need to quarantine after that. You're a free person, you can move around. But there was also an email that came that said there's a mandatory 14-day quarantine. So you either do that so you'd have to do that until you get your result. So that's compulsory until you get your result. So you're either quarantining for 4 days or having a negative COVID PCR test results, if that makes any sense. Okay. And guys, this is pretty much everything about the process of going to Nigeria and coming back into Canada in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. I hope this was helpful. If it was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please ask your questions and I would comment. I would reply as well as I can in the comment section. If you traveled more recently or if you've arrived more recently than I have, I think I came back into Canada on the 17th of January, and there are any changes to the things I have said, please leave a comment in the comment section as well. And like I said, I'll put all the useful links on where you can have your PCR test done, the NCDC website to fill that information into, the link to download the ArriveCAN app is available on your Play Store and App Store. There isn't a particular link, but I'll leave all those details in my description box, guys. So guys, thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share. Until my next video, stay safe, guys.